Welcome in everybody to Leading Off right here on Fantasy Pros. It is me, Joey P, Joe Pisapia. That, of course, is Dinger Dan Harris. And it's you, and we're talking all things baseball this morning on a fun Friday. We got the Futures game coming up. We're right on the precipice of the All-Star game, the Home Run Derby, lots of fun things, and the MLB Draft next week will be coming to you a little later, so just so you know, adjust your sets, adjust your timing, everything that you schedule your entire lives around the show. Make sure you just subscribe right now if you haven't already to Fantasy Pros MLB so you know exactly when the show is dropping live every single day next week because, of course, now it's my turn to be Camp Dad, just like it was Dinger Dan a few weeks ago. So, Dan Harris, we had some crazy things happen in Major League Baseball, a few rainouts, and certainly one of the wackier four outcome games we've ever seen in San Diego.
Yeah, that was unexpected. I mean, I wonder, the odds probabilities that go on. What were the Nats up eight or up eight nothing? Eight nothing, right? With Scherzer on the mound, you expect to kind of win that game. But yeah, just unfortunately another kind of, blow to the, there's still some reliable pitchers out there. Even the great ones right now are getting bombed. I mean, I think it's time to move Brandon Woodruff to my number 2 starter overall. Go right now.
Nice. Oh, I love this. This is the kind of Friday I want. We're going to have some trivia again, too. And I see some people still joining us for the first time and getting excited about this. I love this. I just saw somebody in the chat before. I think it was, here it is. Daniel Foster, first time, long time, finally here for the live show. Welcome, Daniel. I love this.
Welcome.
That people still finding ways. They're like on vacation now. They're like, hey, I can actually watch this and actually hang out with the whole crew here. And we've got a lot of stuff. So let's just get after it. First and foremost, before you get to the ups and downs, I did see the Black Widow last night. We went to the pre-opening night, whatever. It was definitely worth waiting for. Very intense. I would say it's very similar in the tone to Winter Soldier. Mm-hmm. If you enjoy Winter Soldier, which is a little bit more of a serious film, not as much of a yuck fest as some of the other ones. You don't have Tony Stark in here, but, you don't have, the Thor jokes. You don't have all that Guardian stuff.
Right.
But very good. Great fights, great action sequences. Very entertaining. There's probably not a laugh for the first, 35 minutes of the movie. It is pretty serious. So just be prepared for that. But Florence Pugh steals the movie. Telling you right now, she's great. Right. And of course, stick around to the end. Don't forget to wait to the end. But Dan, it was so exciting. When that Marvel music hit, the opening stuff.
Yeah.
My little one looked at me like this.
I know.
She was so excited because it's the first time she's gotten to see one in the theater.
Also, P.S. You sent us a picture of your daughters, and at that with the thing. Your oldest daughter looks exactly like you.
It's terrifying.
Exactly like you. And so if you guys are wondering what Joe would look like, how old is she? 11, 12?
She's 11.
She's 11. How Joe would look like if he were an 11-year-old girl. I've now seen it.
But she's very cute, so I don't understand.
Oh, she's adorable.
She is mini-me.
She's adorable.
She is 100% mini-me.
But, oh, my goodness. I was like, wow. It's like amazing. But I'm glad you enjoyed it. I will definitely get my kids there at some point once we finish Loki, of course, which was, again, fantastic. I don't know.
Well, we're behind on that now, so that's tonight. So
you're not going to be disappointed.
That's what I hear. I heard Richard E. Grant is in it. That's all I need to know.
Fantastic.
All right, so let's get to the ups here. Reyes, the Franimal, goes yard for me in a dramatic fashion. 3-run, home run, the walk-off. I love it. Indians' 9-game slide ends. They beat Kansas City. The rookie Logan Gilbert shining for the Mariners. Shut out the Yanks 4-0. Nice job by him. And Brad Miller, who I'm sure everybody had in lineups last night, had 3 home runs. I know the winning lineup probably did, but once Taijuan Walker got rained out, I mean, if you didn't hard pass that slate last night, I don't know what I got for you. Phillies, rout the Cubs there, 8-0. The Cubs continue to just reel. And in terms of the 3 downs, look, we talk about 4 outcome games, Dan, and there's a down and a plus in this one because the up is the reliever Camarena, who gets up to the plate after relieving Yu Darvish in this game, who comes out with an injury, right? This kid comes up with the bases loaded, hits a grand slam. His brother is in the crowd filming this and losing his mind. It's so great. So it's an up in that, but it's a down because Max Scherzer, Yu Darvish, and you have an 8-0 game where one pitcher leaves with an injury, one pitcher's cruising, then all of a sudden gives up a grand slam to a reliever, Max Scherzer, Hall of Famer. I mean, you just can't write this stuff, Dan.
Yeah, not something I expected whatsoever. Now, it sounds like Darvish is kind of just battling through a couple of minor aches and pains. I guess he had some lower back soreness earlier in the year, and it was kind of okay, but he said it cropped up a little bit tonight. For the most part, I'm giving both these guys a pass for this one. I mean, I don't know what the explanation is for Scherzer, but I don't know. It just everybody is entitled to have a bad start. It was one of these days. And Darvish, for the most part, sounds like he's okay, but it might have been slightly injury related, nothing serious. So very bizarre game for sure. That moment where the reliever's brother just
it's everything that's great.
It's everything that's good about baseball.
It is. Better moment that his brother or Alek Manoah's mom freaking out in Yankee Stadium.
Yeah.
So far they're like necking. I think it's Camarena because like Alek Manoah's parents got to know like this kid's really good. He's going to be a big deal. Camarena's a reliever hitting a home run off Max Scherzer. That's something he's going to tell his grandkids about. I go cool. That one. I go that one personally.
I think that's fair. I'm a sucker for the mom. The mom watching her son. But I agree. I think probably that was better. But in terms of fantasy takeaways, really none for me. I mean, it was just one of these crazy nights. I don't know. I'm just writing it off entirely.
It's like the Eagles song. I love the song. One of these nights. That's what it is.
Yeah.
And also the other downs here, MLB extending Trevor Bauer's leave amid the investigation. Not shocking there. We kind of alluded to that yesterday. And more guys opting out of the All-Star game, as always happens.
Yeah.
Carlos Correa and Jose Altuve are skipping the All-Star game. So here's my question, Dan. More time with their family, little bit of extra rest, or just don't feel like getting booed in front of the national television audience? Your thoughts?
Don't feel like getting booed. That's got to be what it is. The suddenly like, I need some more time right at this. No, come on. You guys know you're gonna get your butts handed to you by that crowd, dude. By everything. You're out.
I'm telling you. See, I would just embrace being the villain. I'm such a big wrestling.
You're a wrestling guy, right? Exactly.
I get up on top of the dugout when they announce my name if I'm Jose Altuve, and I give the old big DX. I got 2 words for you. And by the end of the season, everybody loves you because you become the lovable heel. I just embrace the heat. You start, just being a badass and just say, yeah, that's right, I'm the villain. And everybody loves a good villain. I mean, hence Loki has his own series. Need I say more?
Well, they're going to deal with this no matter what. Like, who cares if it's on the All-Star stage? Just deal with it and whatever.
Whatever. All right, so let's move on to some stuff. Eloy Mendez says he's 200% healthy, which is, I didn't even realize that was possible. But that's great. So we're getting him way ahead of schedule.
Yeah,
terrific for those people who held on or were able to hold on.
To be fair, we don't know when he's back yet, right? I mean, he's
needs 200% ready. He was already back 3 weeks ago.
I guess that's true. I guess that's true. Yeah, look, if you have Jimenez, that's great that you sound like you're gonna actually get him back. And there was a question about that entirely, but in the end, we have to actually see him on the field. Is he going to play the outfield at all? Is he just going to DH? In which case, is he going to play every single day? So I'm not at 200% excited, but it's great.
Okay, well, what percent are you if you're not 200? What's the percentage?
I'm going to go 73% right now excited because, again, he's got to get back into baseball shape. That's going to take a while. There is a risk of re-injury with that injury. So, I'm excited, but let's see where things go.
Hey, 70-something% on the Dan Harris scale. That's enormous.
Pretty big.
That's like, that's like, that's not quite marriage. I think that was probably like 81. Right. Maybe you got that excited, kids, maybe 84. So 70, that's pretty good. By the way, this White Sox lineup right now, without Grandal, without Jimenez, let me just run through this really quick because this is pretty okay. Anderson, Moncada, Abreu. Okay, Brian Goodwin, Garcia, Gavin Sheets, Andrew Vaughn, who's a good, nice player, Adam Engel, Zach Collins. I mean, wow, like
7.5 games in first place, man. So
pitching, my friends, it's all about the pitching. Unbelievable. All right, we did trivia, so we're gonna do a little trivia here. 5 players have won All-Star Game MVP awards twice. Can you name the 5 people to do it? So if you want to get involved here in the chat, and don't Google, like have a little discipline. Let's pretend like it's 1994 and we're at a bar and you have to actually kind of think about something. So put your phones down.
How many people? 5? I've got a couple. Actually,
you want to throw someone out there right away? Feeling strong?
I'm almost positive Trout has won it.
Trout is definitely one of them. That is correct. One of them, my favorite childhood Mets is one of them.
And that's actually the one because of the Mets thing. I don't know if he won it when he was with the Mets, but I think Carter won multiple ones, right?
You are correct. You are 2 for 2 in your guesses.
Okay, all right. I might. I only have one other potential idea. Other than that, I'm going to need help, and it's because of the whole. I remember it with A-Rod making him move to short. Is it Ripken? Cal Ripken Jr.?
It is Cal Ripken.
All right. I'm done then. That's all I've got. I've got 3.
Okay, dinger, Dan, impressive.
Not
There's
bad,
2 more.
But that's it.
One of which is all-time great, and another guy who is actually a very good player, not in the Hall of Fame, but in the Hall of Fame for amazing hair. Amazing hair. That's the clue that I'll give you, boys and girls out there. So yes,
think about it.
We got 3 right off the bat.
That's good. I know. That's it though. I'm done.
What an impressive fellow. I get to host every day with this guy right here.
Lucky man.
All right, so the Futures game is coming up. So I just want to run through some of the prospects who are going to be playing in this. In case maybe you don't play in Dynasty Leagues, or maybe, you're just... Here's some of the guys you're going to have to watch here. Adley Rutschman is going to be in there. Spencer Torkelson, Jared Kelenic, who we mentioned before. This is your last chance, and I'm telling you right now, if he has a big Futures game on Sunday, you're going to kick yourself because then everyone's going to run to the waiver wire to pick him up. Pick him up now. Please, for the love of God, listen to me. Julio Rodriguez, his Mariner teammate, got Bobby Witt Jr. in this game, Marco Luciano, Riley Green, Austin Martin, Max Meyer, and Jason Dominguez. So there's some big names. Is there anybody in particular you excited from that group or someone else to see in the Futures game? It's something that I tend to really enjoy, and sometimes it's great to, we don't always get the chance to really sit down and watch these guys take at bats, so it's kind of fun to do that. You just kind of see the highlights of them, hitting a home run or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, not anybody that I'm like, ooh, this is who I want to see. A guy who I like and I have on a couple of Dynasty teams is Rutschman. So I would like to kind of see what he looks like, because I'll be honest, I probably have seen him, like clips of him playing only once. It's purely about the numbers at this point. But that's really what I want to see, because I've gotten a look at Kelenic. I know Bobby Witt Jr., I know Torkelson, so I've watched a little bit of those guys. But I have some shares of Rutschman, and I haven't been able to actually see him play enough. So he's really the guy who I'm looking at.
All right. Also, too, just to give you the rest of the answers, because I know people are continuously flowing through here. So here are the other 2. Dan Harris got 3 of the 5 back. Yeah, the 2 MVP awards. No one's ever won 3, which is interesting. Willie Mays was the other one, along with Gary Carter, Cal Ripken, and Mike Trout, and Hall of Fame for hair, first baseman, Dodger Blue, Steve Garvey. One of the great hair helmets of all time. And if you don't know who I'm talking about, go to the Google machine. You're welcome. That is a hair helmet.
It started in the 60s, right? The All-Star game?
Well, see, the thing is, no, it went way back. They used to play 2 All-Star games. People don't remember this, but the modern day, like Willie Mays is when we really start tracking these.
Right, the modern day.
Like, so I know 63 and 68 is for him. Right. And by the way, the amazing thing is, if you want to take a guess here, I mean, you probably know the answer already, but what was the gap between Cal Ripken winning those awards?
Well, that second one obviously was like 10 years.
10 years. Could you imagine? I mean, that's pretty cool. I know the last one was kind of like, oh, it's Cal Ripken's last year. Let's throw him in there. But speaking,
but he homered, right? Didn't Chano,
he homered? He
layered one in there?
Of course he did. He's Cal Ripken. He homered.
Chano Park basically was like, "Here's your fastball."
There was a car waiting for him at home plate. Some amazing stuff. I also, besides the Futures game, I went back in time and I pulled up a roster from the Futures game 10 years ago, just to kind of have a little member berry fun. Sure. It's a fun Friday here, and some of these names, again, you'll kind of laugh at and go, "Oh my goodness!" And some hit, some don't. So maybe Dan will pull out his abacus, because he is one to have the abacus ready. Yes. And maybe a tally in his mind here, perhaps, of how many of these guys really ended up becoming something at the end of the day and how many didn't. Let's start with the pitchers. Remember, this was USA versus World back in the day, too. Remember that? That's fun how that all started. Sure. Jared Cozart, Kyle Gibson, Matt Harvey, who had his moment in the sun. I don't know if you want to call him a success or not.
Yeah, of course.
Shelby Miller, Matt Moore, Brad Peacock, Drew Pomeranz, Tyler Thornburg, Tyler Skaggs, Jacob Turner. There's the catchers, Austin Romine, Devin Mesoraco. Then, of course, you have Nolan Arenado, Tim Beckham. Remember Tim Beckham? There's a name you haven't thought of. Yep. Goldschmidt, which is funny because now Arenado and Goldschmidt play together on the same team. Grant Green, Jason Kipnis, Manny Machado, Will Middlebrooks, Bryce Harper. He did okay. Matt Scissor, I never could say his name properly. Yeah. Will Myers, Gary Brown. And then on the world team, here's some fun names too. Liam Hendricks, Kelvin Herrera, remember him?
Sure.
Gregory Infante, Carlos Martinez, James Paxton, Martin Perez, Yonder Alonso, of course, Jose Altuve, Alex Leedy, gosh, I remember him, Francisco Martinez, Jerickson Profar, the can't miss, that was supposed to be the best one in baseball, Jonathan Scope, and then Diane Viciedo, remember that guy?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there's a name for the past. Starling Marte,
Wow.
Alfredo Silverio, Raymond Fuentes, and a few other guys too. So just, it feels like kind of a 35-40% hit rate to me. Like you get a couple guys that are real like huge stars, and then you get a couple guys that are kind of like, good major leaguers or have their moments, and then it's like, wow, that guy just never quite got there.
By the way, that just a related point to that is the fact that I know major league teams hold on to their prospects like they're gold, right? They don't want to give them away. And sometimes you get these horrible things like the Jared Kelenic for Robinson Cano and Edwin Diaz type trades, and they suck. But for the most part, even the greatest, those are the creme de la creme of prospects, right? Those are the guys who are like, oh, here we go. These are the guys we want to see. And even those guys have, like, you're right, like a 35% hit rate. So just when you bitch and moan about your favorite major league team dealing prospects, try to get better, just remember that the majority of prospects, as good as they are supposed to be, don't work out in the majors. Mm-hmm. So just I'm a little bit more on that end.
And I'm also bringing this up because it's that time of year, too, where teams realize in Dynasty if they're in or out of it. Mm-hmm. And, here's the thing. It's like if you're acquiring prospects, that's great. Try to acquire young major league talent that's ready, that's there. Because you just never know how things are going to work out. But also, if you are possibly making a run at winning a title, deal that prospect. Make that move. You never know what's going to happen with these guys. Get the major league ready talent because the next crop comes every single year. You get a fresh batch of new prospects. It's so good. It's like every morning when you go to the bagel place. Every morning there's new bagels. You say, oh, you're out of, cinnamon raisin, or you're out of, which is gross, by the way. I don't know if anyone eats that stuff. But like you're out of egg bagels or onion bagels or whatever it is. Up the next day, boom. There's new bagels. They're ready for you every single time. So make that move. Here's a question here from the Peanuts and Cracker Jacks from Dylan or Dylon. I need a ruling on this because it feels like a Dylon. It feels like that kind of name, but I don't know. I got an offer in a head-to-head league, Paul Goldschmidt and Eloy Jimenez for Rhys Hoskins and Drew Pomeranz. I would certainly prefer the Goldschmidt-Jimenez side of this deal. Your thoughts, Dan?
Yes, that is true. I mean, in a head-to-head league, so it's point obviously Hoskins walks so much that he's got value there. But in the end, yeah, I'm taking that. It's not a huge difference with him and Goldschmidt, and Pomeranz just kind of whatever at this point. I'd take the shot on Eloy for sure.
Yeah. All right. Some other standouts from last night we'll go through. Frankie Montas. Look at him, 10 Ks against the Astros too. That's not an easy thing to do. His ERA is now at 4.41 and 1.31. For the whip. I mean, very frustrating there with Montas. Like, you look at those numbers and you go, and when he has an outing like this, and then you see that 4.5 ERA, your mind wants to explode. In that same game, Lance McCullers, 7 strong innings, 8 Ks there for him. His ERA is now under 3. Carlos Santana with 2 bombs. Julio Urias stepping up big time for the Dodgers yesterday, 9 Ks. I know it was against the Marlins, but still 7 innings of 1-run baseball there for him. And Trey Turner, 2 dingers. Any thoughts on some of the other standouts from last night in baseball?
Yeah, I was texting with a buddy of mine who rosters Frankie Montas, and he's really mad because he basically is like, I bench him for his good starts. I start him for his terrible starts. Look, for me, Montas is a guy who I kind of leave in there because if his splitter is working, if anything is working, he's basically unhittable. Like he really, his raw stuff, again, when he goes with that splitter, he throws in the slider. He has a really, really high velocity fastball. He can dominate any lineup. So for me, he's a guy who I just kind of leave in there. A guy who who you mentioned earlier at the opening was Logan Gilbert, and I didn't even comment on. Gilbert is really, really good. And I was watching that start again against the Yankees right now, who's kind of a weak lineup. When you go up against them, you're not that scared about him. But I was watching because it was in the middle of the day. He's pumping his fastball velocity fluctuates between 96 and 99. He's got the great slider. And now he's starting to mix in his changeup, mix in his curveball. They're really good pitches. 7 of his last 8 starts, Joe, 2 earned runs or less. Like, this is a guy who I still think fantasy managers are not paying enough attention to. The whiffs are there. Everything is there for a guy other than the wins because he plays for Seattle. If he's not rostered everywhere, he should be a priority ad for everyone.
All right. Also, injuries, of course. We can't have a show without an injury. Just once. I'd like to see. This is the lowest we've ever had in the history of this show.
Never.
Joe Ross on the IL with elbow inflammation. Sonny Gray on the IL with a rib cage strain. Now, look, if you're going to get hurt, this is kind of the best time to do it.
I'm not sure about that one, by the way. That one strikes me as roster management. He's eligible to come off on Sunday after the All-Star break. Sounds to me like they need a little extra arm.
Hey,
right?
Sonny. Okay. Hey, Sonny, come here. Yeah, coach, what's the matter? Boom! He hits him in the ribs. Oh, my ribs. Thanks a lot. We needed that roster spot. Go get him, kid. All right, go take a week off. That's the way I manage my team. All right, before we get to the home run calls update and what's going on there, I want to remind everybody, of course, about our sponsor, the glorious tradition that's been passed on from generation to generation. That's right. You know it as Manscaped. Manscaped.com, using that code leading off. That's the only way to get 20% off and free shipping. To shave all that body hair that's just gross and disgusting and it off-puts your entire family and they want to just put you in a corner and never speak to you. You don't have to live that way anymore. Go to manscaped.com, 20% off, free shipping. It all can be yours. The skin-safe technology, the 4K LED light, all the other extras they have there too, like the cologne and all the other specific items for your specific items. So make sure you go to manscaped.com, use our code leading off, get your 20% off your free shipping, and your balls and your family will thank you. All right, Dan Harris, I got on the board, so we are now tied for 11. Finally, the red hot Dan Harris has come to a stop.
To be fair, my game got rained out, okay? So
you had a second pick. You had two guys.
Terrible second pick.
Oh, no, but it's not. I don't think it was a terrible second pick.
It's fine. Everything's fine.
So Wonky Penguin's still at the top of 15. D. Gordon Liddy 14. Randy, ooh, yeah. At 12 dingers, yeah. Mr. Wagoo is at 11, along with myself, Dr. Glenn. I'm just happy that Dr. Glenn is tied with us now. Because we were looking up at Dr. Glenn, which seemed like forever. And I'm just happy that's not the case. So, Daniel, are you ready to get to a little MLB DFS tonight, my friend?
I'm ready. Let's go.
Okay. I'm glad. I needed that little hesitation there. So, again, check your local weather schedules for all these things going on as we get later in the day. Yesterday was a crapshoot.
And it's bad today, man. It's bad today.
It's not good today either. That's why I'm reminding everybody, check it. 14 games today. Again, not a whole lot of top, shelf guys. We'll see if we can get Taijuan Walker. Same thing from yesterday, 9.5, 9K. Go out and get him against the Pirates. It's still good. Charlie Morton's all the way up to 10K. Look at Charlie Morton. Look at him. 10K and 9.6 on DK, 10 on FanDuel. You think he's worthy of that investment?
I guess, probably not in a vacuum, but it's not as if tonight is overflowing with these incredible pitchers. So on this slate, maybe against the Marlins, obviously, that's where you want to pick him. So he's certainly one of the top choices. I think he's overpriced, but at the same time, in a cash game in particular, I'm not sure I'm going to run away from him.
Yeah, Taijuan Walker in cash, Morton in cash. Alek Manoah's start now gets moved to face the Rays. It was against the Orioles. He's at 10-3 on DK. On FanDuel. 7K on DK. Again, it's a massive difference. You want to take a shot on him, that's fine. That's absolutely fine as a secondary arm. Go for it. I want to talk about the GPP guys because these are the interesting ones. Kenta Maeda at 7-3. Blake Snell at home, 7-6 on FanDuel. Very cheap. I can load up on all these big-time offensive games, and there's going to be a ton of them tonight. I love Snell at home. And then David Price, your guy, at 7-4 over on FanDuel. Actually, he's even cheaper. What am I saying? He's 6-2 on DK. So, and he's got a great matchup against the Diamondbacks. So the secondary pitcher market with Maeda, Snell, and Price, kind of interesting tonight. What do you kind of look for? Where would you place your chips?
I'm not going for Price because I still don't trust the innings. I think they still need to get him stretched out a little more. But Blake Snell at home. We've been all over him kind of all year, especially against the Rockies on the road. Like, that's just something you can easily attack. And I feel fine about Maeda now. I told you this last start. It was great to see. The Tigers are obviously weak. If I have to pick one, I am going with Snell, just because I do think that, this is a good opportunity for him at home. They had, they're coming off the high of yesterday. The Rockies can't hit their way out of a paper bag on the road. So Snell's the guy who I'd lean to if I'm going with one of those guys.
All right, in terms of the stack tonight, too, I want to have that San Diego lineup along with Blake Snell against the Nats. Oakland also very much in play for me today. I would definitely want to pay up for Matt Olson. New York Yankees versus Houston. This should be fun. This is going to be the game that you should watch, even if you're not a fan of either one of these teams, because it's probably going to be very entertaining. I like rivalries. I miss this. You know, Yankee Red Sox as a kid I wasn't a Yankee fan at all. But I watched Yankee Red Sox because it was dramatic. These teams hated each other. It was a rivalry in the 80s and 90s, and then by the end of the 2000s, it kind of fizzled out. But the Yankees and Astros is it for me right now. Like, I think that's the best television Major League Baseball really has to offer. Maybe, you know, Giants, Dodgers is still pretty good rivalry-wise. Obviously, not as much as it used to be a couple years ago. Philly and Boston, too. Huge total tonight in that game. The total, I think, is like 11 and a half in that game or something like that. It's nuts. So those are where you would kind of like look for your offenses to game stack inside of that. Any other offensive outputs that you have your eyes on today that you think might bear some offensive fruit, as they might say?
Yeah, I have a weird feeling that the A's are going to have a little bit of an offensive explosion against Jordan Lyles. It hasn't been that terrible, but
that's why I said you got to have Olsen. You got to have a couple of those guys tonight.
That is where I'm going for sure. When I want to sort of really hit it, and I'd probably look in Minnesota as well, because I think a guy like Cruz or something like that against Matt Manning, who just doesn't have it right now. But really, you hit the high points as you always do, Joe.
Speaking of Mannings, did you see that Peyton Manning comment about if it wasn't for his mom, Tom Brady would have 11 championships?
Yeah, it's true.
If it wasn't for Olivia Manning, Tom Brady would have 11 titles.
It's true.
It's true, but it's still funny. I love Peyton Manning. That guy's great. Matt Manning, he's very lesser.
Not as good. Correct.
Also not related, but still on the Manning scale, lower. All right, here's your lineup builders for FanDuel. Get your pens and papers out. I'm giving you time. Get your little notepads and your little tablets, okay? AJ Pollock, if he's in the lineup, just 2.2 against his old team there. Will Myers, also 2.2 on FanDuel. Trevor Larnach, 2.6. And he got copied a few times extra because I was having trouble this morning with the show sheet. So I just realized this now, which is pretty hilarious. I have Trevor Larnach. I had this problem. I don't know why. The copy paste function, something was being weird about it, and I just realized it's all there. But let's get to
Larnach. Go for it.
It's all Trevor Larnach. On DK, 3.1 for Alex Dickerson. Of course, Trevor Larnach there too at 2.8. Odubel Herrera at 3.1, Michael Conforto at 3.1, and Hunter Dozier at 2.8. On the FanDuel side, I do remember who the other guys were. One of them was Michael Conforto. You also want to make sure you get in there into that lineup on both. Again, I know he's been, underwhelming, but at the same time, he's a good hitter. He's going to break out eventually. Larnach is an interesting guy, though, too, not just because we've mentioned him 5,000 times, but with all the buzz around Kirilloff, I've watched both those guys play. And I always thought like Larnach was kind of in dynasty leagues the cheap fade away. Like, this guy's a really good player. He does everything right. Yet you really, it's kind of under the radar because Kirilloff always got the attention. So that's just something to keep in mind. Also, with the draft coming up, obviously this week too, this is really a hot week for Major League Baseball with few games, still a lot of stuff going on. You got the two big pitchers at the top of this draft class, which are going to be very exciting. One of them, Al Leiter's son. So are you going to have your eyes dialed into the draft this week as well?
It's hard, man. Sometimes I get really, really into it. Other times, like this year, for whatever reason, I just haven't really focused on it all that much. And it might be, that we're switching to just being honest with our audience, like, have to catch up a little bit more on football right now because we're launching our draft kit and everything like that. So I haven't had that much time. I do enjoy the draft, though. It is great. I still remember my favorite draft moment was when kind of I mocked out the first round and Conforto fell. And I remember texting with my buddy because we thought Conforto would go 3 or 4 picks beforehand. And he came to us and, it was just those great moments. But for right now, I'll be honest, other than obviously Leiter, a couple of other guys at the top.
Yeah, Rocker's very exciting.
Rocker and Leiter. Yeah. Leiter really also is just,
I think Leiter will go 1, Rocker will go 2.
I believe that's correct.
I feel like this whole pedigree of the guys' sons and things like that.
But Leiter really is. No,
he's
remarkable.
Terrific. He is terrific.
By the way, we should give the schedule, Joe. We should talk about what we're going to be doing.
Let's give the home run calls. Then we'll give the schedule.
Okay.
And then we'll let everyone go about with the rest of their lives, which will be disappointing after the show ends, because this is the high point for everyone. So my weekend call, hopefully things will go better for me. I'm picking something where the weather's not going to be an issue. I'm going to Houston. I've learned my smart. See this? You fool me once. All right. Jose Altuve. The Spite Store against the Yankees. Let's go. I want all the Altuve, who's having a very good season, by the way. I just want to put that out there.
Yep.
He is not dead yet, ladies and gentlemen. How about you, Dinger Dan? Where are you going?
I'm going to Matt Olson, who's going up against the Rangers. The ballpark isn't as favorable as it used to be, but again, I think Olson's kind of due here, so I'm going with him for my weekend home run calls.
There he is. Look at him. Look at Jose Altuve on the throne.
Oh boy.
King in the North. Well, I guess in the West, really. King in the West, so to speak. But this is why you watch the shows, too. And also, don't forget, we're trying to give away a free Shane Bieber jersey to somebody out there. Go to fantasypros.com/MLB contest. Drop your review on Apple Podcasts or CastBox. Screenshot that bad boy. And make sure you also subscribe to the YouTube channel, Fantasy Pros MLB, to get your 3x entry in the contest. Once again, thanks to our friends at Pristine Auction. Dan Harris, the schedule.
Yeah,
what do you want to lay out for everybody? Let's do this
So there are a couple things we want to talk about. First of all, again, Discord, fantasypros.com/chat. Joe and I are going to be doing a live Discord stages. Okay, that is essentially an interactive podcast where you guys come join. It's like this, except we actually get to call you on stage, hear your melodic tones from your voice. Joe, did we decide on that? Is that going to be 7:00? Did we say beforehand, right? Of the All-Star game?
Well, it depends. You want to do it at 7 before it starts? I think people want to watch the All-Star game, I think.
Right, me too.
So I think we should do our alternative pregame. I think that's the way to go.
All right, so 7:00 Eastern on Discord, fantasypros.com/chat. You're going to see in the baseball, in the MLB category, you're going to see a little voice channel. I will add everyone when we're going to start. And we'll just talk. We'll talk. You can ask fantasy questions for the remainder of the season or anything like that. We'll figure it out. So come on by to fantasypros.com/chat Tuesday, 7:00 up until the All-Star game.
And the dog's going out for a walk. I can hear the.
No, I think this is the wife coming home from dropping the kids off at camp, and it's pouring.
The garage opening.
It's pouring. Usually, I'm like, leave your car outside, woman. But it's pouring right now, so that would.
So you're gonna have a bonus leading off. Next week we'll do our home run derby predictions on Monday. We'll have some fun there. We'll recap the action. Obviously, it's gonna be a fun week of shows, and it's fan appreciation week. That's what it is for the Peanuts and the Cracker Jacks. That's what we're doing here, and that'll be it. So have a great weekend, everybody. Go see Black Widow. Do yourself a favor. Weather's gonna be crappy anyway. Go enjoy the movies, and that'll do it for Dan and myself. But the story of the game goes on. We'll see you next time, kids.